Hey everybody, it's Gary Lucas. Alright, now we've got it working again. Let's see if we could switch this around. I got Caroline here to shoot this. Okay, now we're on. It's called Never Say Never. This is my tribute to the one and only Peter Green. One of my favorite all-time guitarists, if not my favorite all-time guitarist. And a big inspiration. And this is Albatross. version of Albatross, which I've got Caroline. I'm so fortunate. Caroline is my camera person today, and she's been humming it all morning. We both love this tune, and it's just one of many fantastic numbers that came out of a creative imagination. Peter Greenbaum, which is his real name, and briefly he was an East End lad from London, and he was studying to be a butcher, but had a way with guitar, and he lobbied John Mayall, the great father of the British white blues explosion, well, one of them. When Eric Clapton was leaving John Mayall to form Cream, he lobbied very hard to get the guitar spot, and once he got in there, he really soared. And if you check his progression over many albums, he just got better and better. The one that woke me up to Peter Green is A Hard Road, which is the second official John Mayall album released, I guess. I read a review of it in Playboy magazine, and I said, oh, I gotta check this out. And it just sent me, and he quickly became a favorite of mine. And, you know, I just think he was beyond compare as far as his touch on guitar. He rarely used pedals. I can actually just think of the End of the Game album, which he did after he left Fleetwood Mac. There he's playing through some pedals, or a little bit before that through wah-wah and stuff, but basically it was just him plugged straight into an amp, and it was everything was the touch of his fingers, and he'd get an aggressive tone just through using the volume knob on the Les Paul. You know, this Les Paul became very famous because of an out-of-phase pickup, which apparently was an accidental move on his part. Just took it apart and then put it back together, but incorrectly. But it has a lovely kind of plangent quality to it. But I think he could have made music with you know, a broomstick and some chicken baling wire or something. He was that good. So I followed his career very closely once I became aware of him, and certainly those first couple of Fleetwood Mac albums have amazing stuff on it, and it was basically him with the John Mayall rhythm section for a short time of Mick Fleetwood and John McVie on drums and bass, respectively. And then he started to bring other people in. I mean, Jeremy Spencer, a great slide guitarist, was part of the early version of that band. And then when he came to do his album Then Play On, which I think is widely considered by everybody, including me, as his masterpiece, he brought in a young acolyte, Danny Kerwin, who was also a fantastic player. And sorry to say, both Jeremy Spencer and Danny Kerwin have passed on, and now Peter. But together with this three-guitar lineup, they made a really mighty sound. And one of the other hallmarks of Peter Green would be his phenomenal songwriting. Now, often you see great guitar heroes who are not really up to snuff in that department, but here Peter Green had it in spades. There's a very melancholic, bittersweet tone to a lot of his songs, and particularly on that final album, which I'll get to. But they always had something really interesting going on, structurally especially. He kind of exploded the blues form on a series of singles. And one of my favorites being Man of the World, which he did for Andrew Loog Oldham's Immediate Records. And that's almost like a little mini symphony in itself with distinct movements, and so effective. But the breakout hit was Albatross, and that, you know, for an instrumental to make it I believe it went to #1. Anyway, it charted very high up in many territories around the world, except for the US. It wasn't so well known or promoted. But, you know, he took elements, I mean, I guess, of people like Santo and Johnny before him who did instrumental guitar, tour de forces. I think Hank Marvin and the Shadows was a big influence on Peter. And of course, Chicago blues guys and country blues guys, specifically Otis Rush, and his singing style is very prominent in Peter's beautiful singing voice as it developed over the years. But really, he was his own man, and he was a very gracious person, everybody says, who worked with him. And even, with the case of Danny Kerwin, he not only brought him into the group on that last album, but he gave him a lot of songwriting credit, and his guitar is also featured very prominently. So among the aficionados, trying to pick out who's playing who has always been fun. Anyway, I'm going to do a number or two from that album, actually, and I'm going to move over to my Chinese National Steel guitar. I say Chinese because I acquired it thanks to my nephew Max Green and my friend Phil Mango at the NAMM show in LA or in Anaheim a couple of years ago. And they located the Chinese instrument manufacturing, let's say, enclave, which was sequestered in the basement of the Anaheim Convention Center in a little ghetto. But they had some superb guitars and other equipment there. And I was able to talk the Shanghai Rematch Instrument Company into sending me this from Shanghai, China. It's a beautiful knockoff of a resonator. And I'll attempt to sing a little bit on this. I don't have a mic, and actually this is the first time I've done anything with effects in 60 shows. Thank you, Max, for pushing me in this area too, because he suggested it all along, but I don't know, I just was into solo acoustic, but here, let's get it. Bothering me. I was a rambling pony, I rode from town to town. I was a rambling pony, I rode from town to town. Showbiz Blues. Truer words were never sung or written down, and that's a slide guitar tour de force, although I believe Peter used a kind of a lap steel version of the steel guitar on that number. And anyway, you should check out them play on. I mean, if you want to start with the best, for me, Peter Green. Every number is fantastic, and I believe they're putting out an expanded box set edition. Been doing a little research for this. I saw that was announced in June, and I can't wait to hear that. I hope they remaster it and do whatever they can as far as adding extras to it. I think pretty much everything has come out. But, you know, the story of Peter Green then becomes very sad. Insofar as on a tour, he was spirited away to join a group of German hippies who inculcated him in massive amounts of LSD, along with, I think, their roadie. And Peter apparently stayed in a basement for a day and a half playing the guitar and jamming on this very strong psychedelic drug, but emerged not quite ever the same, which is a big tragedy. And you know, I wrote an appreciation of a book recently called The Most Dangerous Man in America about Timothy Leary. And I'm hardly, I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. It doesn't really pay, and nobody listens anyway, and who am I to say that? But just from my own experience of somebody who actually did take many trips back in the day, it's a very, very potent drug in any case, and one should be very careful. Enough said. So, well, anyway, at this point I'm going to review a list of people who contributed to PayPal now because of technical problems at the beginning of the broadcast today. I didn't put my PayPal address, but all you got to do is go to paypal.com, and I'm found there under Gary at GaryLucas.com. Very easy, and I'll write it in the margins of this thing or in the comments section when we're done. But Mickey McMahon, this guy has been a loyal and faithful supporter from the earliest days of lockdown when I started doing this. Thank you. John Alderman, a new name to me, again, thank you. He said for the Stones tribute specifically, I did that Saturday, and it's now on YouTube. You can scroll down and also find it online. I put everything usually the next day on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Lawrence Strohmeyer, again, very grateful indeed. Walter Ivers, this is the second or third time I've seen this guy's name. He wrote Rock On Gary. Well, I tried, and I will continue to. Terry Foldenauer, big heartfelt thanks, and Yasser Taba, who's a multiple contributor. So happy and grateful and honored that you like my music. And Caroline would say this too if she wasn't busy filming this. We really do appreciate the support, and especially now in lieu of what's going down in Washington. I don't really want to go into detail, but it's a very tense and fraught period, is it not, for everybody here in America? But anyway, music, if music be the fruit of love, then play on. So that's what I'm going to do. And, okay, I'm moving over to do 2 more numbers for you. And I might even stand for the next one. Let's see. I've got these effects here, but not all of them. Not my AB pedal, so I have to do the rewiring manually here. Let's plug this baby in. And today I am playing my workhorse, green. I love the color green, my favorite color. Funnily enough, my Seafoam Green Strat from 1966. And let's check this baby out. There is a song that was left off the British version of Then Play On called Oh Well. That was really the first thing that FM radio in this country picked up on, and a few AM stations too, I remember hearing it. Of all time. Let's try with a pick. Recreated here, but what's even more interesting to me, and that's fantastic, is part two. Part two goes into a pastoral, symphonic, madrigal-like section. And I'll sit down for this. You might want to sit down too. That was influenced, according to Peter Green, by one of my favorite composers, Ralph Vaughan Williams. And that's a composer that I was turned on to my first week as a freshman at Yale by John Perellis, who has been the chief pop critic of the New York Times for years and years. Thank you, John. Beautiful number, and it goes on for about 6-7 minutes. And again, I need a recorder and an ensemble here and a symphony orchestra to do justice to it, but you get the picture. So I'm going to conclude today's tribute to Peter Green with another song, a beautiful, beautiful song. When they were touring a lot in America in the early days, they kind of fell under the spell in San Francisco of the jam band type bands of the day, such as Quicksilver, Messenger Service, and the Grateful Dead, and the Airplane. And I think it influenced their sound because they started really stretching out, especially in live performance, and then recorded in the studio are a couple of examples of this. There's a little suite, Searching for Madge and Fighting for Madge, which are separated by some songs on the record. But this one is called Underway. Now let's see, I gotta get a loop. This is my old Electro Harmonix 16-second delay. God, I think, what time do we have? We have a minute? Is it 3:30 yet?
Past.
It is? Alright, let's go down. Just a little brief fill-up of the final song on this record, which seems to foreshadow Peter Green's journey to the dark side, and it's called Before the Beginning. That song really makes me cry pretty much every time I hear it. And I just want to say, Peter Green, you inspired me and changed my life with your guitar playing and your music, your voice, and I hope that the world really will recognize your genius. I'm sure they will in the long run. So with that, I'm going to sign off here. I want to thank Caroline for being a camera woman today and her skill doing this. Here she is. Hi. And okay, I'll see you again on Thursday. I got a whole bunch of goodies in store for you. Thank you for supporting my music and listening to this broadcast. And see you Thursday.